Managing Director of Surbana Jurong Technologies, and NYIA Deputy Chairman, Eugene Syumin, CEO of Village Link Company Limited, Adrian Sumin, and all of distinguished guests. Good morning. My name is Alika Samira, acting as the MC for this event. On behalf of the host, we extend our greatest appreciation to each and every one of you for being able to attend the Agriculture 4.0 webinar. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought so many changes in our life without exception. It is well noted that in this pandemic era, the digital agriculture companies and startups have experienced difficulties and were in bankruptcy. They also transformed their institutional arrangements, business model, working management and performance, also their financial conditions. That's why today we will discuss it more here on Agriculture 4.0 webinar, a webinar on digital studies, digital technology studies and application in the food and agriculture sector, entitled From Studies to Applications, Accelerating Digital Technologies in Food and Agriculture Sector. Before we start, I would like to inform you that participants are expected to follow the rules for this webinar. First, participants are required to change their username to country of residence _name, for example, Indonesia _Alika Samira. Second, participant must mute the microphone except when permitted by the moderator. Third, participants are expected to activate the video during the event if there are no technical obstacles and use the virtual background that has been provided, like what I use right now. To get an certificate, participants must complete the attendance form that will be given at the end of this webinar. So please stay tuned and follow all of today's agenda. And last, if participants experience problems, they can report to the committee in the WhatsApp group or personal chat in the Zoom meeting to admin. Okay. So before we start, I want to ask you, how are you today, everyone, in this Saturday morning? Maybe you can drop it down in chat. How is it? How was your day? How was your weekend? How is your weekend? I mean, is this started? The weekend has started? So excited. Because we will start our weekend today with a very knowledgeable morning. We will discuss much about food and agriculture. Excellent. Preparing. Oh yes, Chinese New Year is almost come. I am very fine this morning. Glad to meet you, everyone, this morning. Great. Okay. Okay, so since everyone is very okay and very excited for this sessions, so without further ado, we will start our event today with a welcome remarks from the Director of Southeast Asian Minister of Education Organizations, or Samuel Bayatrop. So please welcome Dr. Zulhamsyah Imran. Hello, Doctor.
Hello, nice to meet you all.
Okay, nice
really great this morning, to attend this international webinar. We will discuss about the Agriculture 4.0. Thank you, Samira.
Thank you, Dr. Zulhamsyah. So, Dr. Zulhamsyah, would you give us some welcoming remarks?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you again, Samira. Dr. Ejinsin Syumin, Managing Director of Surbana Jurong Technologies and National Youth Achievement Awards Deputy Chairman Singapore, Dr. Adrian Sumin, Chief Executive Officer of Village Links Company Limited, Myanmar, Dr. Kaliste Guarijero, Faculty of Agriculture, Mindanao State University, Agriculture 4.0 Research Team. I can see Dr. Sylvia Bangurai, Dr. Eti Otavianingsis, and friend, of course, esteemed participants, and the host of the webinars, IGEF, LC, IPB University. Ladies and gentlemen, I am deeply honored to extend my sincere welcome remarks to the honorable speakers, participants, organizers, and research team on the occasion of the Agriculture 4.0 webinar with a theme of From Studies to Application, Accelerating Digital Technology in Food and Agriculture Sector, held virtually on 15 January 2022. As we know that we need to strengthen and to increase our resiliency, how to provide our food through Agriculture 4.0 in the future. We have noted that digital agriculture, also known as Agriculture 4.0, developed in the fourth industrial revolutions era, has disrupted our lives, especially the food and agriculture sector. With pandemic, Agriculture 4.0 has been observed to accelerate its implementation that is start with many studies. New technologies and Agriculture 4.0 are introduced, such as smart farming, precision farming, and digital farming, benefiting many digital advanced technologies. These technologies have altered the agro-food system to be more productive, efficient, effective, and beneficial from small farmer to policymakers. We know today so many millennial generation involved in the smart agriculture to increase production of in terms of the food. We know that Asian region, the government of Indonesia and Simeo Biotrop had enacted many initiatives to accelerate Agriculture 4.0. Our institution has supported some studies and research on the digitalized agro-food sector. For example, the team of the Agriculture 4.0 research, led by Dr. Sylvie Manggurai, has excellent in completing their research on the utilization of digital agriculture for the food and agriculture sector in Indonesia and the implication of the COVID-19 pandemic on the acceleration. We know that we hope that accelerate digital agriculture 4.0 can deliver also not only in Indonesia, but also the ASEAN member countries, including Timor-Leste. The team also would like to exchange the research product and create mutual understanding through this webinar and the appreciation that works, of course, from the Simeo Biotrop and friends. We hope our institution will keep steady to support young researchers studying and applying digitalization to agro-food ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, through this webinar, we have invited 3 outstanding speakers who have worked for the long term in digitalization in the food and agriculture sector. They are also not only from research institution, but also from the business sector. We hope the participant can gain new knowledge and channel networking from this event. Of course, we hope also the participant can take listen, learn what is the best practice can get from our experiences and then how to estimate what should be done in the future practice. On that note, I wish that Agriculture 4.0 webinar 2022 every success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zulhan Shah, for the welcoming remarks. And also thank you for coming in this Saturday morning, Dr. Zulhan Shah. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite the following speech from the head of Agriculture 4.0 research project team. So please welcome Ms. Sylvia Utari Uzavera, Asud MSI.
Thank you, Ms. Alika. Honorable Director of Cinema Biotrop, Dr. Zulhamza Imran, respected speakers, Mr. Adrian Syahyomin, Managing Director of Sulbana Jurong Technologies and NYAA Deputy Chairman, Mr. Adrian Selmian, Chief Executive Officer, Felix Link Company Limited, and Dr. Celeste Enquiry Zero, Faculty of Agriculture from MSU. Dear ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you to all of you for being here today at the webinar. My name is Sylvia Utari Nuzalvera Mayang Mangurai, as the research project leader for Agriculture 4.0 funded by Seremaya Biotrop. It is such an honor for me to speak on behalf of the organizer. Let me begin by giving you a warm welcome for participating in the Agriculture 4.0 webinar with the theme of From Studies to Application, Accelerating Digital Technologies in Food and Agriculture Sector. As informed by Dr. Zulham from Seremaya Biotrop, we have noticed that during this disruptive era enriched with digital technologies, everything can be digital. We are now in the digital era, including the agricultural sector. Do you know, if we sometimes use digital technologies, but we are not sure that what has been used belongs to the digital. For instance, we love playing TikTok with posting funny videos and endorsing food and agricultural products via TikTok. That is not a lie as long as we use it wisely and correctly. We noticed that today, TikTok has developed a TikTok creator marketplace. Yes, marketplace is mostly dominated by digital technologies. On this beautiful day, ladies and gentlemen, we note that the COVID-19 pandemic had exacerbated Indonesia's disruptions to food systems. The exacerbated condition is because of the imposed incomplete lockdowns, severe restriction of human mobility, and widespread economic distress. The presence of the COVID-19 pandemic has brought about the acceleration implementation of Industry 4.0 digital technologies, including Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, big data, blockchain, 5G, big data analytics, cloud and edge computing, cybersecurity, immersive technology, and robotics. Since the pandemic has impacted the food and agriculture sector and transformed conventional agriculture industries into more digitalized. A webinar on digital technology studies and application in the food and agriculture sector needs to be staged for Indonesian citizens, especially academicians, government officials, and companies. At the end of the webinar, a module that will accommodate the webinar results and module will be disseminated to the participants after the webinar is finished. In addition, we will learn new knowledge and experiences from sophisticated speakers such as Mr. Adrian, Mr. Adrian, and Dr. Celeste, as well as the research team. We will learn from our neighboring countries, Singapore, Myanmar, and Philippines, and we expect the explanation can be helpful for those who would like to develop digital agriculture for business and innovation. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I need to hand it over to Ms. Alika, today's MC, to introduce our honorable guest speaker. On behalf of this webinar, I want to say once more, welcome. It is great to see so many of you here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Sylvia, for the welcoming remarks. So now I would like to invite Dr. Zulham Shah, Ms. Sylvia, Mr. Eugene, Mr. Adrian, Dr. Celestine, and all distinguished guests to open the camera because we will take a picture together. So, okay, everyone is expected to open the camera, open the video on. Okay. Here we have 6 slides. So the organizer will take the pictures and I will count down. Okay, ready for the slide 1, the first slide. 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, you can hold the smile because we don't know which slides we're in. So we go to the next slide, the second slide. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, next, the third slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the fourth slide. 1, 2, 3. The fifth slide. Okay, it's almost done, guys. Hold on, wait. 1, 2, 3. Okay, finally the last slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for the beautiful smile in this Saturday morning. And distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is the time we have been waiting for. We will watch the presentations from our speakers. But before, I would like to introduce our moderator today, Mr. Ahmad Solihin. So Mr. Ahmad Solihin is a concerning project management lifecycle and researcher on food, agriculture, and forestry issues. And he has become an affiliated researcher at Siameo Biotrop during Siameo Biotrop Research Grant Project, focusing on nanotechnology and disruptive technologies. In addition, he worked as a national expert consultant at some institutions, including UN Environment, CIFOR, ICRIF, UNCCD, UNICEF, and UNESCO World Heritage, focusing on interdisciplinary studies. His studies have been featured in national and international publications. Wow. So without further ado, please welcome Mr. Ahmad Solihin.
Okay. Hello, good morning all. Can you hear me now? Because now it's raining here in my place. That's why the internet connection is a bit so unstable, but it's okay. I will try to look for the best for the connection of the internet. So thank you so much for the research team project and also from the committee as well as from the for the MC, Ms. Alika, for giving me the opportunity to be a moderator for this section or this webinar. But before I would like to start the presentation from all of the presenter guest speaker, I would like to ask or to say hello for all the participants. How are you today? I saw that you are feeling great, excellent, and so on. Maybe if you are not feeling great, I hope you can tackle some or feel some issues that you have. So for the next, you can be more happy, much happy, I'm sorry. And then we know that from the previous speaking, from previous welcome remarks from the Zulham as a director of the Siameo Biotrop and also from the research project leader, Ms. Sylvia, they mentioned which is now we are facing the pandemic and now we are still very, very feeling so threatening with the new variant, especially Omicron now in Indonesia as well, in Southeast Asia as well, as we know that. And then now with digitized information and digitalization, and for instance, like digital economy and digital technology, we can change. And it's one of the discoveries that have been developed during the pandemic. Although we know that it have been developed, have been researched before the pandemic. But now during the pandemic and then post-pandemic, now the digitalization and also digitized technology have been evolved in this era. And now to limit my lot talking, I would like to introduce the first speaker, but I would like to request the committee to show the first speaker short biography. So the first speaker is Mr. Eugene Hsiu-min. I'm sorry if I pronounce the wrong name, but I felt that your spelling name is Eugene Hsiu-min. Mr. Eugene joined the Surbana Jurong group on 1st January 2007 as a senior director, group CAO's office, to spearhead and oversee the group's special project and strategic initiative, particularly the group key account management office and digital management and sustainability and resiliency office. He is also a director on the board of 360 cost management and 360 contract advisory. His knowledge and expertise help to fortify the business trust of the group. Eugene graduated with a Bachelor of Science of BSc of First Class Honors from the University of Reading in 1999 and a BSc in Technology Management and Computing First Class Honors from the University of Portsmouth in 2022. He also completed a Master of Science in Construction Law and Arbitration from the Joint NUS and King College London program, an MSc in Sustainable Building Design from the University of Nottingham, and the Senior Management Development Program from Harvard Business School. Apart from his extensive experience in quantity surveying, Eugene injects sustainability, value management, and green approaches into his work to achieve project efficiency. He is passionate about residency in cities and how digital and technology can help citizens have a better quality of life. Eugene is a Green Mark accredited professional and knowledgeable in sustainable building. He is also an accredited adjudicator under the Singapore Mediation Center and a registered mediator in the Singapore Institute of Surveyors and Valuers. Eugene works on enhancing productivity in design and construction and research on computational BEM, visualization, imaging, and other productivity enhancement topic for the Surbana Jurong Group. He is constantly uses the envelope of digital technologies within his team in the industry and the different sectors. His effort has won him several awards, including the RECS Construction Professional of the Year 2019, the Advanced Certificate in Learning Program from the Institute of Adult Learning, and the qualification on the ISO 19650 for BIM and collaboration. Passionate about teaching, Eugene is also a lecturer at the Department of Building, School of Design and Environment, the National University of Singapore, for the Master of Project Management, and is an avid speaker on construction and related topics. In his free time, Eugene volunteers in the National Youth Achievement Award as the acting vice chairman of the council and the FCV committee in NCSSS. So I would like to give the floor for Mr. Eugene, but I would like to tell Mr. Eugene first because your presentation duration will be only 20 minutes. So maybe you can just share your your presentation slide and then you can start. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmad, and good morning, Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Selamat pagi, and thank you for inviting me for this seminar today. I'm assuming that you can hear me loud and clear, so I will just carry on with my slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I'll be going through very briefly about 20 minutes on what we do in Surbana Jurong, but a little bit about what the National Youth Achievement Award does as well is that it's an award scheme for youth, and this award scheme looks at challenging ourselves internally and not challenging each other, and but yet better ourselves in terms of skills, create knowledge, in terms of sports, and as well as technology. And this is where the NYAA has set a foundation for me to enjoy sustainability and technology when I was young, and it's actually brought me to where I am today. I'll be sharing you very quickly about what Surbana Jurong does in terms of agriculture, and very quickly, because I just need to give you a bit overview of what we do in SJ. Next slide, please. Yeah, next slide. So a bit of an introduction of SJ. We are a Singapore-based company, 100% owned by Temasek, and we have offices all around the world, about 1.8 billion in terms of turnover. My job there is looking at sustainability, digital, as well as smart cities. And today I'm very pleased to share with you what we do in smart cities for agriculture. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the SJ Group is made up of several companies from design, architecture, and even security. And we have about 15,000 specialists all across the world. Part of our group does agriculture, aquaculture as well, and also vertical farming. Yeah, so next slide, please. And our vision is really to be the agent-based powerhouse in delivering urbanization infrastructure, as well as resilience and sustainability. Next slide, please. when we approach smart cities, it is not just putting technology into whatever we do. It is looking at processes, looking at how we can look at economics. Just now, the distinguished speaker actually did say that we need to look at the dollars and cents. So what I'm going to be presenting to you is a holistic look at how we look at agriculture, technology in agriculture, and also the advances or the research and development that we're looking at. Next slide, please. This is a very important slide, right? It's the 17 SDGs, and what came up from IPCC as well as COP26 do touch on these things like climate change, how do you reduce carbon. But where I would like to come from, probably there's two things. One is in terms of food resiliency, which is number 2. As well as 13 on climate change. So this is the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and that's where we look at the deep dive in number 2 and number 13. Next slide, please. So what we have in Sabana Jurong is we look at how our different disciplines can work in the different 17 SDGs, right? And we look at things like carbon, net zero, super low energy. We need to make sure that you know what we have first before we can help our clients and know how to give the value. Next slide, please. In terms of agriculture, right? Because Singapore is all built up, so we need to look into these things called vertical farms as well. So we have technologies for horizontal farms, and we also have technologies for vertical farms, which means we need to have an element of urban development and infrastructure in as well. Next slide, please. And because we are making up of different companies, we are able to look at design, infrastructure, with expertise in terms of urban utilities as well. This is just a slide showing what SMAC has in Australia and how we look at looking at condition assessment before we can even start on agriculture or even aquaculture. Next slide, please. So moving quickly into smart technologies that we invest in. Next slide, please. And these smart technologies is how I'll show you in the next few slides on how we actually deploy it in agriculture. So this is an example of our floating ponds or our vertical fish farms, right? Where we have actually built in Singapore. Apollo is our client. We actually study their processes and we build a building and put the systems inside so that they are able to take, fish fries can come in at one end and coral trout can come in on the other as well. The water is then taken into put into green plants for aquaponics, plant tubes, for example. So it's actually a complete system. Next slide, please. And then this is again whereby we can take the wastewater of the fish into the plant. So it becomes a complete ecosystem that relies on each other, which is a very, very interesting project for Singapore. Next slide, please. We need to look at resilience as well. So why we go into vertical farms is because, well, it has pests, drought, heavy rains, for example. Our buildings still can stand. And so there's no threat to the food resilience within a country itself. Many countries are interested to see this. I'm arranging something, a visit by UAE, His Excellency, the ambassador, because this is something that we can actually turn a desert into an aqua farm as well. Next slide, please. So in terms of resilience, we also have to look at flooding, because once there's floods, right, fields will or even fish ponds will be at risk. And so one of our services that we do is we do simulations to see how the terrain will be affected with the heavy downpour, for example, and whether the infrastructure can take the latest, for example, the rain bombs. 1 hour of rain that can squeeze into 10 minutes. So we just need to be very careful of that. Next slide, please. And then we look into the technology per se. So this is something that we're growing in our office. It's a box that we that we grow our plants in, and these plants have special soil inside that can take out VOC, and these plants also reduce radiation within a space. Plants give out oxygen, take in carbon dioxide, and there's a filter system behind that is able to reduce PM 2.5, which is dust. Now, the rest of the edible plants, right, that we are able to grow indoor. Imagine putting these two things together, right? So that's the next step that we are looking to see how these two can be merged in one, where plants can even help in terms of oxygenation, PM 2.5, VOC, and even killing of viruses with this thing called UVC lighting. Next slide, please. We also are using drones, and it's quite interesting because we're using drones to do surveys and facade checkings, and so the engineers not only can do their work, but they can have fun flying drones, right? These drones are able to, with the right side of cameras, be able to detect plants that are not doing well with spectral analysis, for example. It can help the farmers in terms of watering plants. And the thing is that there's a company in China that has taken weeds for the last 10 years. They were about an $8 million company. Now they are worth $100 million. Because why? They have a whole database, plethora of pictures of weeds. And right now, the drones, when they fly over, when they detect the weed, they only do spot spraying. And if not, they don't spray at all. This has actually cut down almost 20–30% of the operational cost of farmers. We are working with Huawei on this. And again, very interesting because you have digital and technology all working as one. Next slide, please. Right, it looks like I have a little baby as a supporter as well. Okay, so we also then look into smart farming, right? And this is where, because drones that's working on 4G is not really that accurate, right? There's a lot of latency. So with 5G, it is easier. Plus, can you imagine we have AI on top? So this is whereby we are experimenting with Huawei, with Singtel, to see how these two can be married together for the future for agriculture and also aquaculture. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is the augmented reality, whereby now the next step is we are going to be looking at HoloLens, so that farmers, technicians in these buildings or in the field will be able to see and know, gather information, and say, oh, I missed something out. I have to walk back all the way to the office or the farmhouse again. Everything is on him. We are looking at whether we should use iPad or not, but if that means the farmer will have one hand less because he carry the iPad, right? Or HoloLens, where he wears a hard hat and he'll be able to see this, something like Iron Man, right? How this is going to be done. You may think that this is I'm sharing a dream, but this is not a dream. We are doing it for construction already. Be very pleased to show this to you. But what I'm saying is, if we bring this to the agriculture industry, this is what we are going to be looking at in the near future. Next slide, please. So we're looking at smart farm, and that's where we'll be able to put IoT sensors inside, where drones with cameras, video analytics, and putting it all on a platform so that we can do this analysis. We have a platform called 24K. We are monitoring 26,000 lives inside, 5,000 over asset pumps, and for the government, and collecting over 1 million over feedback for all the townships in Singapore. This platform is very, very important, and so that we'll be able to look at how we can improve the throughput for the farmers or for fisheries, for example, using technology and digital, but looking at their existing processes so that we can keep the core knowledge of what they have and then digitize it thereafter. Next slide, please. So smart farming, the process is very important, right? We're not saying that we're going to come in and cut processes. We need to study what is the problem statement of these farmers? How can we improve the throughput of the farms? How can we look at crops so that we are able to probably not one, two, but probably 2 times a year that we'll be able to get produce. So it is not just working technology in isolation. It is process, people, technology, and even the types of crops, and in looking at the economics as well. But all this is supported on 24K, which is our platform, with AI, mobility, and even if the farmers want to have an integrated operations center, that is also possible as well. Next slide, please. We are also looking at digital twins, the possibility of twinning the whole farm so that we'll be able to know where the sensors are, for example, where we put rat sensors in our building, and we within 3 days we caught 3 rats, because we knew exactly where these rodents will be, what type of traps to put in, and because of that, we are able to catch these critters effectively. Now, imagine if we can do this within the field, but see this in a 3-dimensional digital twin as well, in the virtual reality environment. We are doing it for construction, we are doing it for digital FM and asset management already. So the next stage is looking at other disciplines where we can do it. Next slide, please. So that's my very quick presentation. It's about 15-20 minutes. I'm again, to the organizers, thank you so much for allowing me to share this of what we do in SJ, and also the NYAA scheme that we have is really to promote youth, so that this interest is sparked when they are young and 18 years old, on sustainability, resilience, on technology and digital, so that that when they grow up, there's a next generation of people able to bring this through for future generations to come, right? And so that's the end of my presentation. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Elgin, for your presentation. That's really interesting, 100%. And we know that your company, Surbana Jurong, already have some digital technology that already developed from your company and have been implemented to the ground. And that's why we know that you also inject sustainability and also how to achieve one of the goals from the COP 2006. You know, there is like carbon neutrality and also net zero carbon. It's really interesting. And I know that Singapore also have developed many green initiatives to tackle climate change as well. So I thought that it's very important to implement digital technology that really eco-friendly and also can reduce the carbon emission. So I already informed all of the already informed to all of the participants, which is if you have many questions or some question, please feel free to drop your question in the chat box, or also you can send your question in the WhatsApp group that we already made. And then for what you can say, make efficiency of our times, I would like to introduce the second speakers, sources the excellent speakers. So he is Mr. Adrian Soy Min. I would like to read first his short biography. Mr. Adrian Soy Min is the CEO of an award-winning agriculture technology startup based in Myanmar. He graduated with first-class honors in bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from Curtin University in 2014. While in university, he received many awards for his academic performance and was included in the Vice Chancellor's list twice. He completed his MBA at Assumption University of Thailand in 2019 and came out as one of the top graduates in his cohort. Before Village Link, he was spearheading the digital transformation initiative of Myanmar Auba Group, the largest agricultural group of companies in Myanmar, as the group's chief digital officer. In 2019, with the great passion to solve farming problems, he joined Village Link and is now delivering innovative digital solutions for smallholders in Myanmar, which introduce sustainable farming practices and optimize farming productivity using remote sensing analytics. So I would like to ask to Mr. Adrian to open your cam, and also the time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmad, for the very warm and kind introduction. Selamat pagi, everyone. It is a great honor to be here to present about what we're doing in Myanmar, and it's a great pleasure to be sharing the stage together with Eugene and also Dr. Celeste. So I will go straight into my presentation. Okay, so Myanmar in the recent years has gone through major transformations across many sectors, especially in the telecommunications. But the story of transformation is not the same for every sector. Agriculture in the country has been unchanged for thousands of years. That's why if you look at our farm productivity, especially in paddy, you can see that we're still far behind that of our neighboring counterparts. For example, Thailand can produce more than twice of what we can produce in Myanmar today. But the situation is not all that bad. If you look at this picture, it's a picture of a farmer in Myanmar. In her hand is her first phone. It might not be as powerful as the latest iPhone 13s that you have today, but it still does what it needs to, getting the information on time, which she can use to better improve her life. So if you look at the overall landscape, there are about 7 million farming families in Myanmar, which is about 35 million people, depending on the sector. That's 70% of the population. And given that we have very high penetration of internet and mobile devices, as well as agriculture being a major contributor to the GDP of the country, there is actually a very big opportunity to introduce digital agriculture in Myanmar, which is going to introduce sustainable farming practices, as well as improve the resiliency in terms of both economic and climate for a lot of smallholders in the country. This is what Village Link is all about. We want to leverage mobile and digital technology to improve the lives of agriculture communities in the entire value chain by providing them with digital solutions, satellite capabilities, and the business networks that we are working together with. Introducing our first product called Twetto. In our language, it means higher yield. Twetto is a mobile application that connects farmers to agricultural professionals, products, informations, and services, so that farmers can receive the timely solution they need to overcome their challenges. The main function of the app is the Q&A, where farmers can post pictures or ask questions, and we actually have a team of agronomists that monitors all these queries and provide them the solution they need. If that's not fast enough, we also have a free call center, which they can call to receive the advisory they need to overcome their problem. We update farmers with localized crop prices so that no farmer in Myanmar is at a disadvantage when it comes to bargaining with middlemen or traders. We also educate farmers about different farming methods for a variety of crops in Myanmar for different growth stages, from selecting the quality seeds until post-harvest activities. We update farmers with localized weather information, and also other articles, news, and videos, which they can learn to increase their knowledge. We also promote the visibility of farmers and market actors in the platform by providing the market access, where they are able to post what they want to sell or what they want to buy, and then basically buyers and sellers can come in and meet each other in the platform and conduct business. We're also using a lot of data that we have gathered to build AI models, especially using vision APIs to automatically classify pests and diseases. So this is still in a very early stage, but in the future, we're hoping that the AI technology will be able to assist the farmers in making diagnosis of what kind of plants and pests and diseases are present, and take recommendations to treat these problems. So all the services that we are providing to the farmers are free of charge. They don't need to pay a single cent for them to use the services. But the way we monetize, of course, being a private company and being a for-profit company, we have to look for other revenues, especially via B2B or B2G revenue streams. And we have about 5 different revenue ventures, namely the advertisements, partnerships, transactionals, customer service, and lastly, data. So advertisements is straightforward because we have a large pool of farmers using our platform. A lot of agribusinesses actually use our platform to promote their products and content to the customer base. For partnerships, we work together with INGOs, agribusinesses, and governments to help them build tailor-made digital solutions which they can use to connect better with their target segment. For transactional, we sell input products on our platform. We sell other agriculture services, which we charge commission fees. And then for data, we collect all the necessary data that companies or INGOs need to better understand the farmer behavior in Myanmar. So by far, Truedo, the app is the largest of its kind in the country. We have more than 750,000 downloads. We have already addressed more than 62,000 farming problems in the platform. Cumulative screen views have already reached more than 25 million. And it's a very large and cohesive community that we have built in this platform today. Now, Truedo is not the only digital solution that we're working on. We also have another product called Village Link Satellite Services, which is going to introduce a new farming system in Myanmar that is sustainable, productive, and resilient. So Village Link Satellite Services, actually what it does is it aggregates different satellite data, and we do analytics on top of it, and we generate these analytics for the agriculture communities to use to better improve their yields, to optimize their operations, and to better prepare themselves against potential adverse effects from climate change. So the 3 main components of our technology includes weather analytics, crop monitoring, and land monitoring. So let's look at the first one, weather analytics. So for weather, using our satellite models, not only we tell you what the weather is going to be like, because this kind of information is readily available on Google or on any other free apps which provides you weather forecast, but we take a few steps further. What we do is we look at the farmer's location, the weather predicted in his location, the type of crop he's growing, and the cropping stage he is at. And then our engines automatically curate the actionable advisory for that particular farmer so that he knows what to do next in a given season. So for example, if you look at this picture, we see that people living in the red zone has severe weather conditions that might not allow them to apply fertilizer, maybe because of heavy rainfall. And if they did, what will happen is that all these fertilizers will be washed away, causing a lot of money to them because it will be a waste. And second of all, it will have environmental impacts because of wash off. But then what we tell them is, hey, look, the weather doesn't look favorable. Maybe you should postpone your fertilizer application for the next, X number of days, when you can come back and do it, and it will be much more effective for your farming. So people in the green zone will receive a different message because the weather looks very optimal for them to apply fertilizer. So it's a very contextualized and tailor-made for individual farmers using the platform. Different farmers, different locations, different crops will receive different messages, but then each of these messages will be relevant for his farming. So the next one, crop monitoring, we can actually use satellite to differentiate different types of crops grown in Myanmar, how well they are doing, how many acres of these are grown, and so forth and so on. So this kind of data is very important in helping farmers understand how well they are doing in terms of their farm performance. So this is an example of our dashboard where we have actually did a benchmarking of different plots and different farmers. So basically, you can see with the color coding, the green plots mean that these guys are doing much better than the average benchmark, meaning these farms are going to have higher yield. Yellow ones are average, meaning that these guys can be improved, but they don't need to take any urgent actions. But if we see the red ones, these are the ones that are going to have potential problems or are having potential problems at the moment and will have significant impact on the yield at the end of the season. So this kind of data can be used by contract farming organizations or even farmers themselves to identify if they actually have farming problems and optimize their farming operations and do strategic planning to improve the yield at the end of the season. And lastly, land monitoring is more of assessing the impact of land, especially due to weather conditions like droughts and floods. This is an example of a picture taken of farms, rice farms that are grown in Myanmar. As you can see here is a dam, a reservoir, and then along the river, we have a lot of rice plots as indicated by purple color. So the picture was taken right before flooding. And then what happened was that there was a heavy storm that caused the dam to break. And then we see that the reservoir, the water table here has shrunk, meaning that the dam broke and then it has inundated all the plots in the downstream of that dam. So these kind of data are very useful for assessing the impact of flooding across different farming communities in Myanmar. International NGOs and rescue operations or even like relief efforts can use the data to quickly determine who is impacted, where the impact is, and what kind of assistance can be made to the farmers that are in need. So we also do a lot of things like flood probability analysis, which is very crucial for some of the businesses to determine if the area that there's a high probability of flooding or if they have a moderate probability. And based on this, businesses can make certain strategic decisions to reduce risks in their future operations. And then combining all of these data, we can actually come up with indexes for risks for different parts of Myanmar. The risk, of course, like I said earlier, can be made as a business decision to determine the risk, and also can be used as data that can be fed into strategic planning to reduce the risk in those areas in the future. So one of the potentials that we can do with this sort of data is, because we are already collecting user data through our Threaddo app, we're collecting weather data, flood data, and then crop data from our satellite technology. There is a potential to introduce a very data-driven climate risk insurance products for farmers. And these kind of products are very, very important because farmers in Southeast Asia are increasingly facing unpredictable weathers because of climate change, and they actually need some form of insurance to protect them against potential losses. So the data can be used to create these products so that we can actually safeguard the financials of smallholders going forward. And currently what we do is we package all of these data into our platform, and we're providing that to different companies in Myanmar, different institutions, government organizations to use it as part of their strategic planning. So yeah, so this is how it works. Organizations can track different crop growth stages, do health assessment of crops, possibly do yield prediction, and so on. And this is especially helpful for these companies to draw insights when it comes to which can be used to optimize their operations. So we're actually contributing to a lot of SDGs in Myanmar. So first of all, we're helping farmers increase their food output and reduce their losses. So we're essentially addressing the no poverty component, and then zero hunger. We're addressing that as well because we're actually helping the increment in food production. Reduce inequality is something that we're also actively addressing because farmers previously were at a disadvantage because they did not have the market information, they did not have the weather information or actionable advice from anybody. So they have to make a lot of blind guesses, which is, actually causing a lot of damage to them. But with our technology, we're actually providing them with more decision-making tools that helps reduce a lot of inequalities. And of course, we're helping farmers produce more using less resources, and then we're helping them be better prepared against the changes in the climate. So a lot of the things that we have done in Myanmar has not gone unnoticed, because we have won several awards for this. We're still actively trying to help smallholders all over Myanmar. And there is actually a potential for this kind of technology to be scaled to different parts of ASEAN, and hopefully one day we'll see similar solutions in Indonesia. So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation. So the innovation here is not about using technology or building technology. It's all about finding what the farmers need the most and delivering them at the most cost-effective manner. Thank you so much. Terima kasih. I will pass the floor back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you, Adrian, for your interesting presentation. We noted from his presentation, which is the use of digitized data for helping the smallholder farmer to improve crop productivities, and also it's helping for the company and business and also government to make a decision regarding about the data from agriculture they already digitized. And so without further ado, I would like to present or read the short biography for the next speakers, the third speaker. I mean, this is the last speakers. She is from the Philippines, and we know that there are a lot of participants as well besides Indonesia, also from the Philippines and other countries. And let me introduce Dr. Celeste Anguijero. Ms. Celeste has her own company, namely Center for Environmental Studies and Management, and her occupation as a conservation farming and technical extension specialist at the company. And she is the Filipino, and her education for the doctoral degree she obtained from Central Luzon State University, Science City Muzon, Nueva Ecija, and then for the master in crop science, majoring in horticulture at the Central Luzon State University, and then for bachelor degree, she obtained from Bicol University College Agriculture, Albay. And then she is also a lecturer or researcher at the Mindanao State University of the Philippines. And this position, her position as a professor and also entomologist. And she experienced a lot of project management, including in the crop sector, especially for mushroom production project, and then cut flower, abaca seedling establishment, and technical cooperation with JICA, and so on. And he is very active volunteering in specific organization, especially member of PhilArm, Association of Researchers and Managers, the Philippines, and also Japan International Cooperation Agency. So without further ado, I would like to request Miss Celeste to present your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma'am Mirna. Thank you for inviting me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me. Then good morning to the director of the Shamo, Bogor, Indonesia, to the speaker, Eugene, Adrian, and the organizer. Then based on my presentation, it came from the low profile presentation compared to Eugene and Adrian. But introducing to you my two company. I have two company. We have my consultancy and I have my manufacturing. And what is my rationale, what is my objectives, then I present some of my product. Okay, so okay, to start with my rationale, currently we are seeing herbal medicine reaching out to many people in our society. There are increased numbers of herbal students, practitioners, and a school engaged in learning and promoting the use of herbal medicine for COVID-19 virus. It is time to go back to our roots and look at the original truth, teaching herbalism. When we grow our own organic herbs, we eradicate damage done by the fossil fuel, we call it as a GMO. We have genetically modified organism. Example of these, we have the seeds, we have the petroleum packaging, materials, chemical fertilizer, preservative, pesticide, while cultivating an intimate relationship with our environment, experiencing and assisting the growth of herbs, ensure personal healing loop between planters and planted. There is no better remedy than one nurtured with air and intention for preconception to traditional culture, practices, and management than digital with technology in the future, than processing, packaging, labeling, preservation, canning, and bottling and marketing. Then some of my objectives. Number one, to encourage scientific research in develop traditional and alternative healthcare system, digital technology in agriculture that has direct impact in public health care, healthy food and antibiotic, specifically for COVID virus, which will help immune system booster as a supplemental living for human consumption, and to promote and advocate the use of traditional, alternative, modern, digital technologies in agriculture, preventive and curative healthcare modalities that have been proven safe, effective, cost-effective, and consistent with the government standard on medicinal practice. Then, to develop and coordinate skills, training course for various forms of traditional, modern, digital technology in agriculture, alternative care modalities. Then, to create job and employment in the community per household, to have 1 sack of rice per month per household. Then it will serve also as a showcase and serve as a learning site in collaboration with the Department of Agriculture, Agricultural Technology Training Institute, local government unit, the LGU. We have the Department of Science and Technology, we have the DOST, we have the DTI, the Department of Trade and Industry, then we have the PTRI, the Philippine Textile Research Institute, we have the PAO, Provincial Agriculture Office, then the Department of Agriculture, which is the Office of the Veterinary Medicine, we have also the AMAD, and also the WISCA, and last, we have the Municipality of Bohol, Department of Agriculture. Then in the marketing, this was done to exhibit and promote in churches, events, and activities, specifically in Mindanao State University during my term when I'm still in the government service, Marawi City. Also in the Facebook and emails, in malls. In malls, we have around 4 malls we distribute our product. We have the SM Uptown, we have the Robinson, we have the Ayala, we have the City Hall, and some terminals and throughout France abroad. Then I have some samples of my product, whatever I have in my farm. I make it as my sample product for all of my available plant in my farm. We have the oregano. Then for the oregano, maybe this is very familiar in Indonesia, and I know Asian countries is very familiar with oregano. Then we have the health benefits can be antioxidant, antifungal, antibacterial, then others. Then also anti-inflammatory, and this is very useful now to our we have to the Omicron, which is now very in all over the world. Then we have the mangosteen with cocoa sugar. We do this as tea also. Then improve immune system, keep the heart healthy, improve digestion, regulate heart rate, then ensure oral hygiene. Then another, we have the pure guayabano. In my farm, I have 2.5 hectares. Then we make use of the fruits and we make use of the leaves. And the leaves we dry, then we powder, then we make it also into powder, into packs, then into capsule. Then what are the benefits of pure guayabano? They have the Annona moricata. Then the health benefits is protect against cancer, alleviates pain, attaining for arthritis, then prevent urinary tract infection, migraine and headache relief, help iron deficiency anemia, prevent constipation, good for the bone health, prevent leg cramp, and boost energy level. Then another, we have we also planted lemongrass, integrate in under the guayabano. We make that also into vegetable, we make that into powder, we make into capsule. Then what are the health benefits that can be get from the pure lemongrass? Then we can cleanse for kidney, for liver, for pancreas, digestive system. Then kill cancer cells, the flu, the cold, blood pressure, the detoxifier, painkiller, lose weight, antioxidant, diarrhea for stomach ache, then antibacterial for antifungal. Then we have the pure malunggay. We call it as Moringa oleifera. This is very familiar. We also in Asian countries. Then I make use of this. I have also do the plantation in my farm. Then we make use into powder, we make use into capsule, then we make use into tea. Then these are the benefits with the antioxidants, liver protection, stomach disorders. We have healthy skin, antibacterial properties, bone health, immune system effect, cardiovascular protection, anti-allergic behavior, healthcare, and wound healing. Then we have the pure turmeric. In the pure turmeric, I also do some plantation in my farm. Then after they do the farming, we do the processing. Then what are the health benefits of curcuma longa? We have the natural antiseptic. And now in the Philippines, turmeric capsule, turmeric powder is very now popular as a supplement and as a tea for COVID-19 virus. Then it also, the benefit with the natural antiseptic, speed up wounds healing, blood purifier, anti-arthritis, lower cholesterol, reduce asthma, reduce gas bloating, then others. Then we have sambung, we have the Blumia blasapifera, and this is also very common and very most available in the Philippines. The benefits of this good as diuretic agent, effective in dissolving kidney stones, aids in testing hypertension, rheumatism, then treatment for colds and fever. And we also use this for the COVID-19 supplement. Then we have the Wachichow. We have the Wachichow Orthocephalon artitatus. It is a beyond immune system and also a threat fungal and parasitic infection, threats equal sexual infection, treat inflammation, then chronic diseases, stimulate digestion, treat cancers, then treat AIDS and improve blood health. Then we have the oregano. The oregano already discussed from, then turmeric already repeated. Then we have also, I also innovate organic herbal liniment, which is a combination of 16 herbs. From the 16 herbs can relieve as a pain reliever for body pain. Then we have the ointment. We have the Chromalina odorata. Chromalina odorata is very effective ointment for open wounds, itchiness, rashes, then pimples. Then we have the ginger powder. We have the ginger officinale. This is also one of the very useful during the pandemic. Then we make use of this as a tea, as a supplement, then as a daily use for our tea. Then we have the oregano, discussed already. Then these are some of my project now in my farm. Modified mushroom production with traditional equipment and material used to start the project as showcased in the community. So in the community, I start my own initiative to create job and going down to the community. And now I have already 20 employee with a very minimal amount to help the community start, then cooperating. Then everybody should be involved in the community job, in the community work. Then we have the chicken under the ilang-ilang tree. This is almost 2 hectares. Then more expansion I will develop to the free range chicken under the tree serve. And the main purpose of the chicken is weed removal. Means they are the one do the cleaning, the weeds under the tree, which serve as feeds for the chicken and maintain clearing in the area. Then we have the mulberry, we have the rearing house for sericulture, almost 2 hectares. And we have the unfinished building, which was donated by the WISCA. Then the small, then WISCA also donate water system for distribution of water per household because the community is no water system. Then we have the turmeric, then some of our display online from the different events. Then we have the duck dispersal from the Department of the Veterinary Office from the Region 10, Philippines. And this just 2 months old. Then at the left side, we have the pond and we are still brewing some ponds for tilapia and other fish. Then we have the Guyabano, Kasoy, Ilang-Ilang tree, and this is 2.5 hectare integrated with the different crops. Then other crops under the tree, which is integrate. We have the lemongrass and the citronella. Then we have the Trichantera for feeds, for nursery, for goat, pig, carabao, and cow. Then for our marketing, the processed product out of my harvest in my farm. Our display area at the different mall, SM Uptown, Ayala, Robinson, include digitalization, online, social media, radio, and television. Then future plan, 5 to 20 years from now. We have the #1 agricultural consultancy farm for agritourism farm, which I make a proposal out of this. Proposal #1 subunits, we have the mushroom production and processing with the modern equipment in the future. Then #2, we have the essential extraction of herbal manufacturing for COVID supplement for human consumption for the essential we have the ilang-ilang plantation, which I don't have yet a machine how to extract the oil. Then mulberry sericulture for silkworm. Then we are still expanding the mass production of mulberry in the community. The number 4, organic veggie, fruits, ornamental. Foliage, cut flower, rare exotic species of plants, restaurant of traditional Filipino food for Negosyo Center building, youth academy, school. Then I am planning to open a school for skilled agriculture graduate for 3 years. Then after 3 years, plug in them to have their own job to cut off poverty. Then 7, maintain resort on top of the hill. Number 8, church on top of the hill for recreation, retreat, and spiritual renewal. Then 9, training center for consultancy, for hostel, for seminar, for training, and for OJT, and for field trips. Then number 10, ornamental fish pond, culture with an estimate of 130 million. Then another project existing, processing plant building, ongoing construction of the first and the second floor building intended for tea bag production of my herbal product as turmeric, ginger, and many more. Then 10 million. Then 3, mushroom production and processing plant, 10 million. The mushroom production and processing with a high-tech processing, then it will also process on chips, tea, then for feeds, then other process that will be maximized. Then last, to God be the glory. Thank you for the IGAP Bogor, Indonesia, inviting me with a very simple presentation, whatever available and whatever I have done in my country, which is I initiate with a very minimal investment just to start. What can I do to help the poor people of our country? Thank you and good morning to everybody.
Good morning. Thank you, Ms. Celeste, for your presentation. That's really inspiring because we know that you help a lot of smallholder farmers and local people and also the poor to improve their livelihoods. And we noted that you also develop organic farming and also connecting with agroecology, in which is really relevant with the enhancement of the agroecosystem in the Philippines as well. And we know that we have a lot of questions from the participant ranging from the lecture from different universities in Indonesia and from other participants from abroad. And we would like to open the first session for the presentation for the question and answer. So we know that which is Mr. Adrian already respond some question from the floor, especially from, for instance, like Pak Aprianto and then Pak Mahdi and so on. But I would like to deliver some questions from the floors. The first question from, wait a moment. Okay. From Pak Andi Irawan. It is addressed to Mr. Eugene. How to implement the heavy high technology for the majority small farming, for instance, just in Indonesia or other country in Southeast Asia. We know that which is your presentation, you already implement some high disruptive technology, smart farming and so on in Singapore. And then based on your experience, if you have any experience implement the technology in other country, which is still in the underdeveloped and developing country, can you just explain or respond to the question for Pak Andi first, Pak Eugene?
Thank you, Ahmad, for the question, and also I think this is a very interesting question to me because, as you know, Singapore is really a built-up country, right? And we are now just looking at the 2030 plan so that we can supply 30% of the foodstuff for ourselves. So we are going into vertical farms rapidly so that we can meet the 2030 plans. So that's actually saying that for what Adrian has actually showed, it's not what we are doing for big farm areas, but it doesn't mean that we can't do it. I would rather work with partners like Dr. Celeste or even with Adrian, that when we go overseas, we have our platform, we have our technology, we have our IoT sensors, we have our processors, but I'd rather work with partners. We can never boil the ocean, and then we can never take the whole universe. That's not the universal law, right? We need to work with people. So the question, to answer the second part of the question is that to do large extent hectare size of plant and agriculture, that we don't have, but we are willing to work with partners to explore to see how we can use our technologies to go abroad. The first part of the question is something that we always had in mind when we started this. Never make a technology so unaffordable that no one can it doesn't make economic sense. So the platform that we had, we are not only using it for agriculture, we are using it for sensors and so on and so forth. But we have a workflow management built in that we can cater to different sectors, different disciplines, different use case. So what we are looking at when we provide this to a client is this thing called a SaaS model, subscription as a service. We take the capital costs of all the heavy technology. We take the capital cost of setting up the virtual machines. We take the capital cost of building the platform. Users will just pay us a monthly fee. It can be two ways. It can be just a monthly subscription or a lowered monthly subscription, but based on output or how we can benefit and add value to the client. So we also take the risk together with you. So these are the two models that we have. We do not believe in really heavy technologies. I also believe that we must have fun. So when we fly drones, when we use technology, we must have some passion into it. Because if not, the younger generation will not come in. It will be left to the older generation to be there. The younger generation won't come in. So if we can provide an environment, a culture with a technology platform, and with ideas like what Adrian is doing, or even with crops like what Dr. Celeste is actually doing, holistically, right? I believe that we will be able to meet the economic balance and the economic balance, provision of jobs, as well as interest the youth, to also go into this work as well. So I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eugene, for your answer. It's also related about the first question. The first question, it's from Damai, related about what kind of the plants that you already monitor or evaluate from using the digital technology. If you have any experience, what kind of the indoor plants like vegetation that you have been monitored by using the technology that you already developed with your company?
Is the question directed to me or Eugene?
Yeah, Eugene. Sorry, from Eugene. You see Eugene presentation. What kind of any plants, vegetation that they are edible and can be planted indoor, but also it can be monitored by using digital technology?
Yeah, so that again, that's a very good question, because not all plants can be planted indoors, right? So we need to we have things like chai-sings, cabbages, those plants that are robust, strawberries, and there is also experiments to see how we can alter the light so that we can change the sweetness of fruits, for example. But I think there's a question also by Mr. Bang Bang, which I'd like to address as well, that I have actually shown a picture of our vertical fish farm, because coral trouts and all that, we do have a capital price, but vegetables, it's 50 cents per kg, or it's a bit tough to hit the minimum. So what the government does is that they do give out incentives to build buildings so that we are able to plant this plants in and put the technologies in, because why we need to hit the 2030. But if I can take that and put it into places like Malaysia, Indonesia, if you want to really go into vertical farming, or even Myanmar, really your land cost is way lower than us. Your construction cost is way lower than us as well. So I do not see it as a challenge. We need to study the different types of technologies as well. I have a friend in India who was growing botflies and crickets to make protein, and he gave me some cookies to try, and it's just as good as Famous Amos, right? So the thing is that we looking at barrel board structures, curved structures, but there's no need to build using concrete or steel. We are using stick frame plus plastic sheets or even cling film. That's it. It's just as good, you see. So we need to study, and we're willing to work with partners to study the ways, the cost benefit analysis, the economics, and the type of vegetation that we can actually go in. But most importantly, can we have an ecosystem? So for example, a vertical poultry farm, a vertical fish farm, the waste I can actually use for fertilizers, the water I can actually use, but not all plants can take it. Not all plants can take it. So the farmers are the best to know. We need partners. We need to work in an ecosystem to try all these out. If not, I must say that we are not as advanced as Adrian, but that's why I sent him a PM to say, hey, contact me, man. I want to work together with you overseas. But the thing is, we need to work with partners to see how we can find the sweet spot. We have found a sweet spot for poultry. Poultry. We have found a sweet spot for poultry. We have found a sweet spot for fish. Now we need to find a sweet spot for vegetation and fruit. So happy to work with partners around. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. The last question. Thank you, Pak Eugene. The last question, it's from Pak Bambang. Pak Bambang already addressed, but it's from Pak Mahdi. It's about smart farming. You mentioned that about the smart farming before, but we want to know about the research that have been done in Singapore. Is there any research, or before you apply like smart farming in Singapore, there are a lot of research, but I don't know exactly. Can you tell me about the research, and then what kind of the obstacle when you implement digital technology in the agricultural sector in Singapore with the limited land, or maybe using like flying agriculture and so on?
So this question is to me again, is it?
For you, yeah, Eugene, yeah.
Okay. So the challenges that we face will be, one, what type of plants to put in. Two, how do we balance the capital cost between the economics of the structure and actually the technology is not the expensive one. It's the structure, the concrete, the foundations, because we are building vertical farms. And then the third is the processes. How do we, because everything is horizontal, right, in farms. Now we're going it vertical, right? So we need pumps, we need horizontal runs, we need risers, and so it's a bit different. But there's a lot of things that we can do away with. We can do away with diseases. We can do away with floods. We can do away with rodents and pests. We can increase productivity. We can also experiment with like rice. So for example, we have rice is usually about 3 feet tall, right? We have this thing called thermatic rice that is actually much shorter, so that we can actually grow it indoor as well. So these are the things that we can do in indoor farms. But like I said, it's very limited. It's not prevailing as what Adrian or Dr. Celeste has actually shown. We are trying there. We only have 10% of our food that we can grow ourselves now. We are trying to make it 30%. We need to work with partners to explore a bit more. I have actually seen Dr. Celeste work and also did studies with mushrooms as well, to see whether we can, those abandoned schools, abandoned tunnels, can we grow mushrooms as well? The British is doing it, so these are the things that we are now seeing how we toy in, because we have a very finite space in Singapore, but we hope to learn, and then we can spread this knowledge overseas as well. So the issue with floods, pests, locusts, fires, will be gone, because why? We are housing everything in a safe environment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Eugene. So would like to continue with the question from other participant. It's for Mr. Adrian. It's about the traditional farmer. We know that not only Indonesian country, there are a lot of people, I mean, indigenous people that using traditional knowledge, but sometimes for the young people in generation, including, most of the participants here, not really interested to use like traditional knowledge for farming and so on. And with the infiltration of digital technology, maybe it can alter the traditional knowledge as well. So how to use the digital technology, but without altering or neglecting traditional knowledge? That's a question for you, Pak. Mr. Adrian.
Sure. So traditional practices in Myanmar, I mean, I think countries to countries, it might differ a lot, but in Myanmar, a lot of the things that traditional farmers will do is not really grounded in science. For example, when they select the planting season, traditionally they will look at the lunar calendar, right? They will look at the full moon, they will look at the seasonalities, and they will choose a date, auspicious date to start growing, because they believe that some supernatural force will help them achieve growth and make them succeed in fruits. So these kind of things are quite common in Myanmar. And the way we do is that we're not drastically changing their practices, right? What we're doing is we're just giving them a more actionable and more scientific advice, telling them, hey, climate change is already changing the weather patterns. Previously, you can rely on lunar calendar, but now you have to adjust to when the monsoon is actually going to come to take advantage of the weather, as well as to protect yourself against any damage from the weather, right? So this kind of things has to be shared with the farmers so that they know how to adopt them, they can use them, so that they actually have a much more successful yield. The youth plays a very big role in this, because farmers understand that the youth are actually much more up to date with latest farming knowledge. They are the ones who actively use digital media. So the way we convince the farmers, it's, a lot of farmers in Myanmar are quite of old age. They might not be using smartphones. So but their sons and daughters are. That's a good news. So the sons and daughters will learn about different farming methods. They will try to reach out to us for questions on behalf of their parents, and then they will share this knowledge with their parents, so that the farmers, when it comes to the actual farming activities, they actually follow a much more effective approaches. So that's how we've been able to help farmers grow better and achieve higher yield. I think after using our platforms, we see that there is actually an improvement of yield from 20 to 40%. And we didn't change much, right? We didn't change much in terms of the traditional practices they use. They still do use a lot of traditional practices, but we just guiding them. We just provided them a little bit more insight, which actually helps them a lot with time saving, material saving, as well as mitigating against any losses.
Okay, Adrian, thank you for your answer. Mr. Apianto, if you have still, what you can say, any question, you can just ask again by chatting in this chat box. And then for Mr. Adrian again, it's from Pak Mahdi and also Mr. Damai. The first question is about cybersecurity in the use of the VLSS platform. What about the cybersecurity, and is it accessible for global, for public or not? And then from Pak Damai already mentioned in the question is how to address the rooted problem from the ground level, from the local farmer, if they want to using like your application, the Village Link.
Sure. So we take the cybersecurity very seriously, especially when it comes to safeguarding user privacy and user security. Because we're working with a lot of non-government organizations from Europe, which require us to adopt European standards when it comes to provide safeguarding the user privacy. So a lot of the data we collect from farmers are a lot of them are actually opted in, meaning that the farmer himself opted for the data. And we don't share that with any commercial entity or with any entity, right? So the private information stays within our database, and it's strictly prohibited from people from accessing that. But in terms of the satellite data, the data itself is actually publicly available from the source itself. So it's an open source data platform, so anybody can come in and access the satellite data because it can be used in many different industries, especially including the agriculture. And what we do is that we just collect some of these data and we do an analytics on top of it. And then we provide the data to other businesses on a subscription basis. So what we're charging the other commercial entities is for the analysis that we do on top of the data. But the data itself, as I mentioned earlier, can be accessed for free.
Adrian, it's about the second question from Pak Damai, Mr. Damai, is about how to address the rooted problem of the ground. If the ground, local farmer would like to use your digital technology or the digital apps.
Yeah. So most of the time, what happens is that the farmers, when they experience a problem, they will take a picture of that problem and send it to us. We have an agronomist team that looks at the picture, and then if the symptoms are clear-cut, we can actually diagnose immediately and tell him, it looks like you have, this particular disease or this particular pest. The treatment methods will be so on and so forth, right? So that's how we've been able to address a lot of problems on ground using digital technology without having us to visit the farmers. But sometimes the problems might not be as clear-cut, or the farmer does not know how to take a picture. If that's the case, what we do is we will follow up with him for additional questions, screening questions, to actually help him pinpoint what the problem actually is. In terms of the advice that we give to farmers, there is no cookie cutter approach. We don't have a standard template that we apply across everybody. What we do is we assess the farmer's income. We assess if the solution is readily available in his geography or area or not. So we look at a lot of factors of a particular farmer before we actually give him the advice he needs, so that any recommendations that we make to the farmer, it's personalized, it's customized, and is actually accessible by that farmer.
Is there any the confidential data, or private data, that cannot be shared to the other parties?
Confidentiality. So a lot of the privately asked questions, of course, remain confidential with us, but in our platform works pretty much the same way as Quora or Reddit or Facebook will work, right? It's a type of social media platform where you share your problems with not just between you and the company, but also other viewers to the public. The reason why we open that up is because there are farmers who might be facing similar problems as you, and they might be able to chime in and say, hey, look, we face this problem too, and we overcome this by using this, or we overcome this by doing this, right? So we wanted actually the community to also come in and share their perspectives, share their workarounds. So all the questions that the farmers ask through the Treto app, it's publicly available. Anyone can see, anyone can come and contribute. But of course, the farmer, if he is not very confident with sharing his private information or his problems, he can always come to us through direct channels like a messaging platform or a phone call. And this kind of information, of course, we don't share it back on we don't share it with the public.
Okay, sure. I agree with you. Okay, so this again, the question for Miss Anita Ayuning-Tias for you. It's about the capacity building that you provide. Do you also provide the capacity building like training and module manual distribution dissemination for the local farmer before you infuse the digital technology or also application that you made to them? And then this is the first question. Then the second question is, what kind of method that you can measure, which is after providing capacity building, the local farmer can understand the use of your application. And the third question is about what is the beneficial things after using your application from your company. You mentioned already in presentation back. Can you just respond again? Hello, Adrian. Your microphone mute.
Yeah, could you repeat the last part of your question again?
The last question is about, sorry, I forget. Sorry, wait a moment. The last question is about the beneficial things are versatile advantages from using your application for the local communities, especially in Myanmar, generally in Myanmar people.
Yeah. So it's going digital. The main advantage is, of course, speed, affordability, and scalability, right? So typically, in the past, when a farmer faces a problem, he'll have to wait for the extension officer to come and do the site visit, look at the problem, and giving the recommendation, which can take days or even months, right? Especially the extension services from companies or businesses, they usually come maybe once every season, and that's it. There's no way the farmer will be able to address the problem at hand quickly. But with our solution, it's actually much faster, because the moment he takes a picture and uploads it on the platform, within a few hours, he will instantly get a response telling him what to do next. So there is this speed that the physical models can never replicate with the digital extension services. So that's the primary benefit that farmers see. And it's on demand, right? The farmer, like I said, does not need to wait for the officer to come and visit or a specialist to come and visit. He can just ask anytime, right? In the morning, at night, every day, and he will always get a response. So it's like having your own personal specialist with you in your pocket. The second one, of course, is the affordability, right? When in the past, what we see is that farmers cannot wait for someone to come and visit, because certain diseases, certain plants, certain problems are actually quite urgent and need to be treated immediately. So what they do is that they will cut off the samples from their plants, and then they will drive, or they will take a motorbike to the nearest research center or agricultural extension office to show the symptoms to the specialist, which takes a considerable amount of their time and their and the transportation cost. So with data, we replace all of this with a much simpler solution, and it's just cheaper, right, to upload a picture than having to commute all the way to the nearest town, which might be 10 kilometers. And lastly is the scale. The scale of being able to solve so many farming problems at once. Previously, an extension worker can only visit maybe 3 or 4 farms a day, because each farm can be quite remote. He needs to commute between different farmers and consult with them for a long time, which eats up much of his time. But with digital, extension service can actually simultaneously solve multiple farming problems at once. So it's actually increasing the productivity of a lot of these extension workers. Not only that, because you're also getting contribution from other community participants in the platform, it's just much more effective, because previously, problems are isolated, solutions are isolated to individuals, but now everyone is sharing their own ideas, their workarounds, their solutions, their inputs with everybody else, and you can just quickly learn any new knowledge, without having someone coming in to train you. So these are the 3 main benefits that you will get.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. I'm sorry for the committee, because my internet connection is unstable. That's why I'm using other Zoom platform from my friends. I'm using like Tegar Kurniawan. Can you just pin Dr. Kurniawan Zoom. I'm sorry, I changed because unstable internet connection. I'm sorry. So I would like to continue the next question. It's addressed also from it's addressed to Mr. Adrian. I think this is the last question from Mr. Adrian. It's from the former director of Siameo Filantrop, Pak Bambang Purwanto. Thank you, Pak, for attending this event, this webinar. It's about how to fill the traditional gap. You already mentioned about the importance of the maintaining and preserving the traditional knowledge from the farmer to implement some technology, although it's already implemented with the digital technology, introduction with digital technology. And then in relation to Mr. Apianto's concern in this approach, we significantly attract young generation in the farmer family to maintain their business in agriculture. So is there any, like, what I can say, method for you to using digital technology with still maintaining the local knowledge, also indigenous knowledge, with and also making interest on encouraging young people, which is digital technology is also safe and also can help to maintain the local knowledge of the farmer itself.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, all the responses that we make to farmers, we don't have a cookie cutter solution. I mean, we don't provide a cookie cutter approach, right? We don't just modernize, introduce them to modern farming. What we do is we look at what is his goal, right? What does the farmer want to achieve? How does he want to achieve? Does he have the resources to achieve it? So we and of course we also look at his capacity, right, in terms of technology adoption, and also his appetite to adopt new technology or risk. So we look at all these factors before we actually recommend something to them. There are many instances where farmers will always ask for a traditional approach. They will come and say, we know about GAP standards, we know about all these latest farming methods, but I don't want to use it because I think I don't want to use it. I don't want to be spending money on chemicals. I don't have that. Can you advise me what will be the most natural way to overcome this particular problem? Or can you tell me a traditional way to overcome this problem? And we will still provide them the recommendation based on what they ask. So it's, I mean, the kind of information that we provide to farmers, it's personalized for each individual. As I said, we look at many factors of this person and we will provide him whatever is most relevant to that person. So yes, there are instances where we will recommend them traditional solutions, and of course there will be a hybrid model where we actually put a little bit of more science into that, so that the decisions they make and the actions they take are actually beneficial for them.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. So the next question, it will be addressed by Mr. Silesti. So it's question from Fania Mahardika. It's about how do you convince the community in your area that there will be a suitable and guaranteed market for your product? Because you mentioned in your firm or company, you already engaged no one live behind. Is one of the strategy that already developed by the United Nations. So how do you ensure the community, especially without making gender disparity, and to ensure which is your product can be sold in the market and the market can be guaranteed and sustainable, suitable for your product?
Okay, Ahmad, thank you very much. So I've read some of the question in the chat. One of the question is asking me how I sell my product. Then before giving some of my activity, before retire, I just retired last April 2 from the government. Before I retire, my farm is already prepaid since 2012. So from the 2012, my main intention after my academic, because in the academic, my position is research and extension. So I was able to go around all the community and all the rural areas, and I can see how the poor farmers is, they do not know, they don't have the technology, they don't have the support, they don't have anything, and they don't have any job, they don't have anything. So if you can see some of the area, like for example in some Muslim areas, most of them are rebels. So why? They focus on the rebellion. They don't focus on job because no proper system. What we can go down, then give them job to the community. So to me, after I retire, then I really ask God, help me pray. Then 15 years before retirement, my full back after I retire. Now what can I give some share? I can share some of my wisdom. I was been trained from Japan, from China, from Korea, from Malaysia, then from China. Then this is not good. If only in my mind, there should be, I have to go down to the community and download whatever in my mind to see what are the need and what are the needed for the community. Then what I have done first to the question is I start from scratch. I start from the half hectare. From the half hectare, I start plantation of moringa. From the moringa, I make into then in between planted with the lemongrass and citronella. Then from that, the neighboring farm requesting me to buy his land. Then telling them, oh, I do not have money to buy that. Then according to the owner of the land, okay, you can staggered pay for additional production of your crop. So again, and was extended, and up to now, we have already extended many projects we have now in the community. Then one of my objectives was stated to create a job per household to have then 1 sack of rice per household, because that is one way of giving them that everybody will participate from the start of your company. So I have already more 20 employee. So from the 20 employee, I have very minimal salary, good for 1 sack of rice to some employee. Then from some of the employee, then already some of them will give already higher and some already at the minimal salary. Then for the market, the one is asking to me how I was able from the market. When I am invited as a speaker, I bring my product. Then from bringing that product, and that is how I introduce my farm and introduce my business. What is inside in my farm, then I deliver it to the participants. Then from the participants, oh, they are encouraged, they are motivated, and they are encouraged how I can give them. Then I also monitor what are the crop needed in the community, in the mall, or in the some of the areas. Like for example, for my mushroom, we are always short of stocks. So and for my native chicken is also needed big volume of supply in the market. No grower. Why? And what are the obstacles? This I only support my own business. Then sometimes I connect with the government. From connecting with the government, I avail a very minimal dispersal of that. There's dispersal of only very few. But I must not stop doing it. Sometimes I conduct training, I conduct benchmarking, I conduct something, because many people already wants to be in my farm to go on OJT, on the job training, to go for some skills to be trained. And these are my, and in my academy, I am encouraging all professional in the field of agriculture. We have to go down to the community, then share now and now and now. Agriculture is the most basic course. The cobble will go away, but the food will stay. So this is one of the encouragement I want to tell it to the all graduates, all doctor, all researchers. Then all we go down and we have to help the community. We have to help the poor farmer. We have to then which should be us to go down not the farmer to look for us. The farmer, they do not know the link. They do not know anything. Even in my farm, we don't have signal. So that is how I deliver. Then I do my best. One of my secret, Ahmad, is daily I pray. I get my support from God, morning and afternoon, even to the salary of my employee. If I give salary this month, again, bend my knees, bow down my head. God, salary of my employee for the next month, daily, I inquire. Then my question here is, what's my obstacle with my business? The obstacle is my support. So in the last part of my presentation, that is 5 years from now, I always prepare proposal and looking for some partner, looking for collaborator, and looking for linkages, how we can improve, especially for this digital technology can attract youth farmer. Then in my farm, in my plan, I am doing a curriculum. I'm preparing a curriculum for youth academy in the field of agriculture to encourage youth how agriculture is beautiful. Thank you, Ahmad.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Celeste. Thank you for your encouragement and also encourage young people to implement or to apply all of the research or also the knowledge into the ground, which is more beneficial, not only just keeping in the library, keeping in the book, but also it can be implemented for the local community to the ground, which is we can say make a better improvement in the livelihood of local people and local farmers. Thank you. So it's also same, which is you already addressed, which is the obstacle of initiating your business. You already mentioned on your answer. It's from Pak Bambang Purwanto. I hope it's answer. And then I think I would like to ask to you about, you already developed like a 5 until 10-year plan of your business. Do you consider also like digital technology to be implemented in your company and in your work plan? And then do you also engage like the private and also public company, other private and also public public partner to support your firms, especially in digitalizing and also digitizing the system of your agriculture in your company?
If I will be asked if I will welcome, always open welcome, open arms, Ahmad. Open arms for the digital farming. It is now the trend all over the world.
So what about the product that you sell? Do you also like using like social media to promote or market your product?
Okay. How I promote my product during the time 2012, we were in Korea. I bring ointment and bring liniment. Then we display. So one of my obstacle now is still under registration for Food and Drugs Authority. Then my construction for my building is still unfinished. So waiting for the registration. Once the registration is finished, then we can reproduce of my product. From the product itself, we can sell it. I was been able during my time when we were in Korea. There is a owner of the 3 hotels in Singapore telling me if we can provide cocoa sugar, packed cocoa sugar into tea.
Okay, thank you, Miss Celeste. So I think the first session for the question and answer is already finished. It's already completed. So this is now for the second session of the question and answer. If you have any question on answer a question for all the panelists, please you can just open your microphone and you can ask directly, because I think the first section it's just I deliver some question to the guest speaker, but for the second session you can open mic and ask directly to the speaker. If you have any question, just raise your hand. I mean, raise your hand in direction emotion, and then you can ask question directly to them. Some participants will not, which is they say that this webinar is very insightful and very useful. And then thank you also for Pak Bambang for appreciating our webinar. I hope this webinar is really insightful and useful for all the participants. So any question for the floor from the participant? If you have any question, just mention your name and then what will be your question. Okay, I think there is no question. So the committee already chat to me personally, which is we can move to the next question. Thank you for all those speakers. All of your presentation and material presentation are really useful. Maybe can we just get your material presentation and can we share to the participant? Is it okay? So we will send it, and if you agree for it, we will send it. Okay. Thank you for your attending or your presentation. I hope we can meet again and hope you are stay healthy and safe during this new variant of pandemic and everything's well. Thank you so much, and I will back to the MC, Master of Ceremony, for continuing the next session. Thank you.
Mana?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ahmad, and of course for our speakers, Mr. Eugene, Mr. Adrian, and Dr. Celeste for the great and very insightful sessions. And I think we already start our weekends with a very knowledgeable day today. And on behalf of the host, we would like to give an appreciation certificate for each speakers. And here I invite again Mr. Eugene. Hello, Mr. Eugene, for the documentation, to take a documentation together with the certificate. Okay, since Mr. Eugene is already here, maybe we can smile, Mr. Eugene, and the organizer can take a picture for us. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, is it already done? Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Eugene. I hope we can meet in another event next time. And now I would invite Mr. Adrian. Mr. Adrian, here to take the photo with the certificate. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Adrian, for coming today and giving us so many insightful knowledge. And next, I would invite the most beautiful speakers today, Dr. Celeste. Okay, here we will take the photos. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Celeste, for coming today and being our speaker today. And last, I would like to invite our moderator again, Mr. Ahmad. And I would like to say thank you so much for leading the sessions today. And okay, I will, is it? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ahmad, for being the moderator today. And for the speakers and moderator, it is welcome to leave the meeting room if there is another agenda. And before we jump to the next session, all of the participants is expected to fill the attendance form the organizer has sent in the chat box to get an SE certificate. So don't forget to fill the attendance form. Once again, thank you so much for the moderators and speakers, also for all of you. But we still have another sessions today with the excellent research project team. And the research project team is consisting of Sylvia Utari Nuzafera Mayang Mangurai, S-Hud MSI, Laura Septrianda Putri, S-Hud MSc, Dr. Ahmad Solihin, S-Hud, Tegar Kurniawan, Eti Artiningsih Oktaviani, S-Hud MSI, Muhammad Alfarisi, S-Hud, Revianto Dame Darmawan, S-Com, and Anida SSI MTP. So the research team will present their research and launch their module in the session. So without further ado, we will welcome the research team. But the first presenter is Miss Eti R.R. Tiningsih Octaviani. So Miss Eti, the time is yours. Okay, sorry, Miss Eti. I think I can't hear your voice. Is it only me or anyone can hear Miss Eti's voice? Okay, halo Miss Eti. Okay. Maybe Miss Eti, you can take off the earphone so we can hear your voice. Maybe it's you have
Morning.
some trouble with the headphones. Ah, okay.
Hear my voice? Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So,
Okay. I'm sorry. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the opportunity to me to present our result of our research. This research this support by Biotrop, CMA Biotrop. Thank you for CMA Biotrop. And this result about agriculture 4.0 studies and application in Indonesia during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our research team. There is Miss Sylvia. Congrats to Miss Sylvia that I would like to congratulate to Miss Sylvia who has reached her doctoral degree. Congratulations. And then me, Anida SSE MTP, Dr. Ahmad Solihin Ashud, and our beloved research assistant. There is Muhammad Farid Al-Farisi MSc, Revianto Damai Darmawan, Laura Septrianda Putri, and Tegar Kurniawan. Next. Okay, this is outline in my presentation. Is background, component and methodology, time schedule, monitoring and evaluation, result and discussion. Next. Okay. Yeah. As now we have the COVID-19 pandemic has changed many sectors in our life, include in agriculture and food sector. Looking at the current condition, we have a hypothesis that COVID-19 pandemic has implication for acceleration implementation of fourth industrial revolution. Of course, to prove this hypothesis, we did this research about agriculture 4.0 digital agriculture studies and application during the COVID-19 in Indonesia. Okay, next. This is objective in our research. First, to investigate all studies and application or startup of digital agriculture in Indonesia. Two, to provide research and application startup mapping on the utilization of digital agriculture in food and agriculture sector. Okay, next, please. This is the material that we require. There is literature from Google Scholar, Microsoft Academic, Base Core, Science.gov, Semantic Scholar, etc. And then this research conducted on March to November 2021 with systematic evidence evaluation method. Okay, next, please. This is a result and discussion, the types of general digital technologies used in agriculture sector. There is Internet of Things, smartphone, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, blockchain, automation, robotic, big data, virtual reality, and digital employee atau workspace. Sorry. Okay, and then we get the data of, yes, next. Digital agriculture types used in Indonesia. There is Internet of Things, and then GPS, GIS, website, artificial intelligence, and big data. And then we have data again about next. Agrofood startup in Indonesia. Agrofood startup in Indonesia, there is many of agrofood startup, as we know, Gojek, Warung Pangan, Tani Hub, Karsa, Tani Farm, Hara, and then Agrodrone and Agri too. Okay, in the encourage the smart technologies, especially in digital agriculture sector, it require government support. For the example, in the form of police, and then this is police in Indonesian ASEAN agendas on digital agriculture. There is ASEAN Digital Master Plan 2025, and then ASEAN Declaration on Industrial Transformation to Industry 4.0, consolidate strategy on the fourth industrial revolution for ASEAN, and etc. Okay, and then we also have other output beside the data that I have previously described. And then please Mr. Damai to deliver the presentation about output of research in our team. Please welcome Mr. Damai.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Etty. And I assume that everyone can hear my voice clearly, right? So in this section, I will present about the implementation and outputs of our research and also the achievement status. Next slide, please. So from our research, we have submitted to international journals and is currently under review process. Next slide, please. And then one drafted policy brief, and it will be published to the ASEAN CRN policy brief website and Center for Indonesian Policy Studies. Next slide, please. And then one module for Seameo Biotrop. And that's it. The next is there are maps that will be presented by Mr. Faris. To Mr. Faris, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Damai. So our study resulted to two type of maps. There are thematic maps and interactive maps. These maps are made from the data that is arranged in Microsoft Excel. We search every locations or the address where the research come from. We also look for the location of the office from agriculture-based startup or company. The data we were taken are coordinate points and it's marked in Google Earth Pro. And then we insert and join the coordinate point in Microsoft Excel. Okay, next. We produce 15 thematic maps that will be inserted to our publication, such as journal and a policy brief, as we mentioned before. These thematic maps are made by processing the existing coordinate data using ArcGIS ArcMap version 10.5. In the making of this map also uses the data provided by the government through Geospatial Information Agency within a GeoPortal platform. So this data was used as Indonesia's base layer map in 34 provinces. Next. And the other map that we produce is an interactive map. You can access this map for free and open for public, we use a mapmaker platform from Indonesia, and the name is gis.co.id or gis.co.id, which is managed by CircleGeo. This platform gives us a change to make our own map domain. This platform also provides us with easy to use because it only needs location data. And then we upload it to the website. Our file that uploaded includes coordinate points and information about the company or the research information. It was joined in a table using Microsoft Excel, and then the data uploaded to the website. And then we arrange it to make you as here to read our map. Okay, next. Yeah, we made 3 interactive maps. The first map is about digital research map distribution. If you open this through the website, it will show you the agriculture technology studies distribution maps. This map shows that the most studies on digital agriculture technologies were concentrated in Java Island and Sumatra Island. In Sulawesi and Kalimantan Island were evenly scattered. However, Papua Island had a very limited number of the studies. Most of studies published in the journal, scientific article, working paper, and other gray literature were produced by universities and research-based institutions. This study noted that the institutions were very active to conduct research on the use and progress of digital technology for Indonesian food and agriculture sector. Okay, next. The second map is about digital companies distribution map. It can be seen that most of the digital agriculture companies are concentrated in Java Island and are followed in Sumatra Island. In the other islands, such as Kalimantan, Sulawesi, and Papua, are not found to find the companies, although the companies can reach this island through using internet for their services and products marketing. Okay, next. And the last map is the combination of the agriculture technology studies and agriculture-based technology companies, as I mentioned before. Okay, next. Okay, I think that's all from us. I'll give it back to the Master of Ceremony. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, the research team, for the presentation, and also congratulations for the research and for the journals. And now we will have a question and answer session with the research team. So if you have a question, please just raise your hand or drop it down on the chat box. I will choose 3 questions only, and the research team will answer them for you. Okay, since it is already a questions in the chat box, I would like to read the first questions from Kurniawan.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Erika. I am the coordinator of this webinar organizer. I'm so sorry for the technical problem from our MC, Alika. I think I will back up this Q&A session to read some questions and lead the Q&A session. Okay, for the first question to the research team is, are there any policies that encourage the application of digital technologies in Indonesia? How the policies pros and cons, I think. The actualization of digital technologies. How the impacts of digital technologies application during the pandemics. And there is a following question. Do you also integrate the digital maps to a certain app that can be accessed for public? I think it's already presented by Mr. Faris about the digital map access for public, but please answer the first question. Who will answer the question? Maybe Miss Eti or Mr. Damai or Mr. Faris?
Yeah, well, try to answer the question from Mr. Kurniawan, and if there is some missing things that other researchers want to add, I'll encourage you to add to my answer. Okay, so the question is policies that encourage the application of digital technologies in Indonesia. Yes, so actually that was quite the main point of our policy brief that we want to uh, suggest to the government. And is there currently any policies that encourage the application of digital technologies? Actually, there are several policy encouraged by the government mainly. There are that's encouraged by the central government in the Ministry of Education, I think. That is Data 4.0. The main point is encouraging the industry, the startup technology, I'm sorry, the startup companies to use the technology actually 4.0 throughout Indonesia, and actually it's still ongoing to till this year. And then there are several provincial governments such as East Java and Jakarta that is also making a progress to the application of digital technologies. I assume the digital technologies is not limited to the agriculture sector because the question does not mention any of it. And I mean the digital technologies in general. And then the next, how the policies pros and cons. I think the actualization of digital technologies. Okay, the pros and cons according to our data is the implementation is not so well implemented. It's, what can I say? It's actually only touched the surface of the people of Indonesia in general, because not everyone is familiar to the technology 4.0, especially the advanced technology like drone, Internet of Things, mobile apps. Because we do the research in agriculture fields, I think the results may be different in any other fields. So I assume we answer it in agricultural fields. It's not very throughout implementation. And so as the Mr. Adrian said, as the webinar before, the implementator of this policy make youngster startups and not very much millennials 40 years or older implemented the policies. How the impacts of digital technologies application during the pandemics. Yeah, actually, the main point is it's rising. The usage is rising, and the demand for digital technology implementation across the agricultural sector is increasing because the pandemic is limiting our mobility. We can travel so easily as before the pandemic, and that's where the main point of digital technologies come in. Maybe the other researcher have the different answer or want to add my answer. It's welcome. Thank you. I think that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Damai. You start to answer this question, and then I will complete the answer that we have literature about the progress in use of digital agriculture. According to Yendamuri et al. 2020, digital pattern in 6 countries of Southeast Asia, 47% of consumer decreased offline purchase and 30% increased their online spending. And then according to Parama 2020, and the utilizing digital technologies in some important sector in Indonesia to increase its economic productivity through digitization and Indonesian online super. It is so Linus in the answer of Mr. Damai, the digitalization in agricultural and food sector make we easy for shopping and then get the food, of course. And then the question number 2 that Mr. Kurniawan, what is it? The maps, it's we make to be now about distribution, digitization, agricultural and food sector. And then we have the information that the digitalization agriculture still concerned in Java Island. And then we hope the maps can be submitted, and the police brief that we submit in what is it website in public police brief can encourage the government to be stimulate the startup actor for develop their program. I think the government in Indonesia still focus to handling the COVID-19 pandemic, and then what is it? Food and agricultural sector. It's not yet their focus. I think this is my mind. And then so the research on other research team, if want to add the answer, please.
Yeah, sure. Bu Eti, I would like to respond the question from what is it, Kurniawan. The first question is about what kind of the policy or regulation they already implement, they already apply or enact regarding about digital technology. The Indonesian government already act or issue some regulation and also policy related about digital technology, and also the program and project. Most of the policy and also regulation is focused on the implementation of digital technology. It's not certain, but it's very general digital technology without mentioning like what kind of the digital technology, for instance, like IoT or artificial intelligence and so on. And then the digital technology policy and regulation have already mandated by the government Indonesia to certain regulation, and also have been implemented by certain stakeholder under the ministries. And in other hands, there are also some pros and cons related about the implementation of digital technology. For instance, like we face a lot of digital divide. Digital divides means like the access and then the use of digital technology in Indonesia is not well equipped and then well distributed. For instance, if you see like the Papua or maybe in Sulawesi and Kalimantan, in the rural area, they can not access the digital technology use and utilization. In other hand, that's why the government of Indonesia should be recommended to enhance the infrastructure of digital technology. So they are not just focusing on the doing like research and doing some program without actual action. They can address the problem, the rooted problem that already we understood from the research is related about digital technology. And then the next question is about what? The map, yeah. Yeah, of course, the map is already integrated with the website, and then the website can be accessed because the consultant that developed this map is Faris. That's why Faris have already made two type of maps. The first is interactive and the thematic map. Thematic map, it's mean like the map that can be accessed in the book or in the great literature without three-dimensional three-dimensional visualization and also information. But for interactive map, you can just click in the website with the certain link, and then the link for instance, like the digital hotspot in certain area, they provide like information related about who is conduct the research, what is the company that implement the digital technology in agriculture, and what kind of the challenge and so on. They already provide. And that's my input related about your question, Kurniawan. Thank you.
Okay, so for all participants, you can access the map research through the link Faris has already dropped at the chat box. It's agricultureforallstudies.gis.co.id. Wow, it is a very great research. And before I want to say sorry because I've lost my connections before. So thank you for Erika for backing up me. Okay, we can go to the next questions. I think we can go to the next questions. So it's a question from Mr. Bambang. So Mr. Bambang said, collaboration is a must, and you all have shown the beauty of collaboration targeting on very important topic. The question is, what's next? Any proposed steps involving Siam Meobayatrop to continue this initiative? So the research team, the time is yours to answer these questions. Okay, Mr. Ahmad?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
What will be the next step for the research team to develop this digital map and also digital research? Based my understanding for our team discussion, maybe we need a lot of support from the Siam Biotrop and other party, for instance, not only just the Biotrop, but also we request to other donor to provide support to develop my research of being well developed and then well progressed in the next step. Not because we want to develop like certain apps, and then the app, maybe it's same with Adrian and also yeah, it's like some with Adrian, but it's much more about the research, but it's also used for the local community. But we know that, for instance, in Indonesia, also for instance in the IPB, they make like cyber extension, and then they provide solution and also information to the local farmer. That's why we want to apply that we want to continue the works of the IPB University researchers and so on. That's why we want to develop the map for the next step. On the other hand, we want to collaborate with other researchers by exchanging knowledge, information related about digital technology, because we have already conducted digital technology research in Indonesia, but we want to develop with with other parties abroad in Indonesia, abroad it refers to like the other country in ASEAN and maybe in other outside the ASEAN, Southeast Asia and so on. Thank you. Maybe other team members can give like other information related about this case. Thank you.
Okay, is there any ads from the research teams?
No, Miss.
Okay, I guess. So I hope maybe we can make collaborations too after these sessions, maybe because we gather from another countries too. I see from Philippines, and is there another countries here? Oh, Pakistan, and many more countries. So I guess maybe we can make another collaborations for step forward about this research. Okay, maybe we can go to the next questions. So what would be your recommendations for the goal by reflecting your research? It's a question from TK from Indonesia. Maybe Ms. Eti or Mr. Ahmad will answer. I mean,
Eti, or you want to add some information answer about the question? Okay, me, okay, I will add again. I'm sorry, I've talked so much, no worry, but this is the answer for the question. So the question is related to what will be the recommendation for the government of Indonesia related about the research progress, research project that we already conducted. Based on a research based on our research, there are a lot of results, and the results have been reflected in policy brief. We already share and publish in the ASEAN, what you can say, ASEAN CRN, ASEAN Climate Resilient Network website, and you can access it. Maybe the team can share the link in ResearchGate or maybe in the ASEAN CRN, and then you can chat in the box, and then there will be like a recommendation. So the recommendation, the first recommendation is about the digital divide. Digital divides mean the lack of the access, and then the access and the use of the digital technology is really so tremendously happening in Indonesia. For instance, we noted not only in Java. Java is very dominated with digital access, and internet connection is really good. Outside Java Island, maybe it's still facing a lot of problem in internet action, internet connection. That's why digital divide should be tackled first. And then the second is digital infrastructure. Maybe Indonesia government can provide like satellite information, or maybe internet connection network or technology that can be applied not only in Java but also in other countries. Although some remote area we noted, which is some remote area are still facing some difficulty in getting like access, because maybe like the area is very mountainous, the landscape is not really supporting the implementation of the digital technology use. And we noted, for instance, during pandemic, many students in rural area and so on, they cannot access the internet, and that's why it's a problem when they are using digital technology. That's why they want to make we want to do like offline meeting, not virtual meeting, not virtual education. That's the problem, because now we are still facing a COVID pandemic, right? And then not only digital divide, digital agriculture, but also we want to request the high level people, the policy makers that we noted in Indonesia. Besides they producing and acting a lot of policy and program, they have to implement it into actual and make sure their implementation beneficial for beneficiaries, and also make sure their implementation sustainable, not only in this certain period, but also can be operated in daily without any limitation or limits. That's the recommendation that we understand. And maybe Eti or maybe Faris and other research team can provide some inputs.
Okay. Is there anything to add? Okay, so thank you so much for the research team. Since we just only accept 3 questions for today's sessions with the research team, I mean, to say once again, congratulations for the research team for the research, and thank you so much for sharing the research and also the module. You can access the module on the link that Faris has sent into the chat box. And I really hope we will have another event or sessions with you guys again, maybe with another research, and maybe we can make another collaborations with everyone here, everyone attending this webinar today. It has been 3 hours since our meeting today. Once again, we extend our greatest appreciation to the speaker, research team, also each and every one of you for being able to attend the Agriculture 4.0 webinar. From this webinar, we hope to increase our knowledge about digital agriculture, the implications of the COVID-19 pandemic on digital agriculture, and the solutions to overcome these issues from the presentation of the speakers and research team. Also, maybe create another collaborations. Finally, on behalf of Agriculture 4.0 webinar organizers, I am Alika Samira, wishing you a wonderful weekend. But before, I want to remind you to fill the attendance form in case to get the e-certificate, and have a wonderful weekend, and see you at the next event. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Alika.
Thank you so much for everyone has attended.
Terima kasih semuanya.
the